Happy Valentine's Day from Rupp Arena. It's after midnight, so we are celebrating the holiday, and we are celebrating Kentucky getting back in the win column because nobody beats the Wildcats 4 times in a row in Rupp Arena. Nobody. Tonight, Ole Miss tried, and they ran into Kentucky's defense. We found that. Kentucky won 75-63, had 4 scores in double figures. Antonio Reeves with 15, Reed Shepard with 13, Justin Edwards with 12, Rob Dillingham had 10. But it was really about that defense getting it going. Still a ways to go, but when you hold an Ole Miss team to 63 points and win the game by double digits, we will take it. Drew Franklin here with Zach Gagan, Jack Pilgrim. We're happy. If you've watched us here on the Rapid Reaction, it's been a rough couple weeks. Pretty depressing, actually. I even thought about quitting, but tonight we're on top, we're winning, we're smiling again. Jack, do you want to do with the usual check on the lineup? Because we weren't injury-free tonight. You want to just start there with who played and maybe what we have moving forward?
We were at full strength for a whopping 23 minutes. It was just a great time.
Yes.
So much fun to be had by all. The full strength, man, it feels so good. Trey Mitchell's had some x-rays done afterward. Don't know the status of him, but very clearly a positive impact back in the lineup. Cal went small, made it abundantly clear that he was shortening the rotation, and I like it. It was, not just this constant zigzag of throwing lineups against the wall and 40 different substitutions. It felt like there was something to work with, and it led to one of the best defensive showings of the day. Cal continues to kind of stress this 10% thing. We don't have to just be world beaters on the defensive end because of how good we are on the offensive end. Just got to get a little bit better. And by my terrible math publicly, I believe they're 18% better than Ole Miss season average, holding them to 63 points. So
nice
boom,
math.
Science.
Sure, that math works, maybe.
Well, we started talking about the double-digit scores, but I intentionally wanted to save the MVP for this guy. Big fan of the 7-footers. Story of the night's Ugo. 10 blocks, a Rupp Arena record. Wasn't even a month ago, he sat right over our shoulder, did an interview with Jack Gibbons. I think it was the Mississippi State game. He said, before the season's over, I want to block 10 shots in a game. Well, didn't take long. He did it here. Didn't quite get Nerland's record for a single game at UK, but he did get the home record against the same team. And, I feel like on the reactions, you've had a few 7-footers thoughts. You've always been a big Ugo guy, but I would like for you to just rave about Ugo showing up and having a good game when they really needed it.
Yeah, I think it's 7 first-half blocks for Ugo. Can everyone hear me? Mic check, mic check. No. We're trusting it. We're trusting it here. Mic check. Shout out to our YouTube commenters for taking us out there. But 7 first-half blocks for Ugo. He ended up with 10, as we said there, I think he tied the single-game Rupp Arena record with some guy named David Robinson, who was apparently played basketball for
Colonel or something.
Yeah, something like that. So he tied that record. Just a great overall game from him. I always love when Ugo plays well because his post-game press conferences are just him smiling and acting goofy and just being almost too cocky, but to the point where it's kind of funny. So I was all for him, just kind of talking his stuff in the back. We're so what's the next record? What are you going for next? And he's like, I got something in store type thing. So we'll see what happens next. But it's something about playing Ole Miss that just makes Kentucky's shot blockers just have the best day of their life. Nerland's the record. I think that's a Kentucky record he has with the 12 against Ole Miss. Me and Drew were talking about that during the game, reminiscing a little bit. But Ugo brought us back to a simpler time. We won't, talk about how that season ended, obviously, but yeah, it was just an awesome performance overall from Ugo. If he could just wipe the sweat off of his hands and catch all the balls that are coming to him, he probably could have had at least 16, 18 points, probably more rebounds as well. But a beautiful triple single tonight from Ugo in the block category. So I was all for it. We did see some, if I can keep bragging on the 7-footers, Aaron even came in as kind of the 9th man in that rotation, had to play some spot minutes with Trey's left shoulder injury there towards the end or the beginning of the second half. Aaron had a couple of just really crazy blocks where he was pinning against the backboard, shoving it in the ground. So I thought he had some moments as well. We didn't see Big Z out there. Obviously, Cal really is kind of buying into shortening the rotation, and it paid off out there. Ole Miss shot 37% from overall, 22% from 3. So it's just a great overall defensive performance from Ugo, and just a great defensive performance overall from Kentucky. Probably the best one we've seen against an SEC team.
Looking good, still a ways to go, but we're excited after how it looked recently. Jack, earlier this week you had a little scoop that Cal's going to shrink the lineup, as Zach was just mentioning. Cal said it on his show. 9 people played 5 minutes in the first half. Not what I'd call shrinking the lineup, but I feel like Maybe a little. Got Trey back in the lineup, used him a little more, going a little smaller, but I feel like we're still not going small like I kind of thought we were tonight. I mean, Ugo played well, so let's be clear. I mean, you couldn't sit Ugo, but are we really going to small ball, as was alluded to earlier this week at any point?
And I think there was kind of a big picture message of we're not going to play politics anymore. We're not going to just be going, and I know it's kind of been a talking point of we don't make guarantees, but like, if you look at the recent trajectory and some of the guys with some of their affiliations, they have been kind of calling in favors and overplaying some guys. And I think that was kind of a point of emphasis of, all right, we're going to cut and you're going to still get a chance, but you're going to have to earn your time on the floor. We're not going to just throw you out there and let the team drown because of that. So, I appreciate it. I mean, it took, I think, like 12 minutes for us to see Aaron Bradshaw for the first time. And that was a clear, there was a time where I was like, man, I don't know if Bradshaw's going to play at all tonight. So he's clearly number 9 in the rotation. But to his credit, he comes in and makes the statement the way he did and then steps up when Trey Mitchell goes out. That's how it should be. It should be you go out there and prove yourself instead of just go like, what are we, these are empty calorie minutes. What are we doing out there? Justin Edwards, kind of a similar boat where you're going, man, this guy, there's a lot of minutes, but not a lot of production elsewhere. That's a guy that went out there, and I think he had one of his better games, and he started to kind of stack some solid performances. So I just appreciate that we're moving towards something at the end of the season, that we're not just kind of flailing out there and throwing stuff against the wall, where we have some tangible progress of this is how we're doing things moving forward. Like it or not, this is the best chance for us to win. And to Cal's credit, we played the best defensive performance of SEC play. And I also like Cal kind of said that a lot of it was player-driven with some of the things they did defensively, pressing, playing more aggressive. Reed said, that was kind of a players' meeting where we said, hey, I think this is going to be the best version of us if we do this. And they kind of presented that to Cal, and that's why we got to see a little bit more of aggression on that end for these guys. So it just feels like some player empowerment with this team, and baby steps, but steps nonetheless.
If you thought some minutes were going to shrink, Justin Edwards, he's not going quietly into the night. As Jack just said, he had 12 points, 4 of 7 from the field. For me, just watching him, a few weeks ago, he just wasn't in it. I mean, it looked like he was just it wasn't a funk. He'd go to the bench, he slouched. I think Cal even called him out about some AAU behavior. But here in the last week or two, even in some of the losses, he's very engaged. He's pumping the crowd up. He just, leave aside the stats, he just seems like he's a different player out there regardless of what the outcome is. It just looks like he is involved in the action, where we worried about just his mentality there for a few weeks earlier on.
Yeah, I think the main difference is he's actually, seems like he's buying in more on the defensive end overall. Just, I'm sure when I rewatched the game, he'll probably have gotten beat more times than I thought. But just, from what we were looking at up there, like, he always had his hands, in the cookie jar, did it without fouling. Like, it was an all-around performance. I think 11 of his points came in the first half, though, but still, like, he made impacts in other ways. He's not just having to get his points up to get himself going anymore, which is kind of what it felt like it was through pretty much the entire season up until maybe the last couple of weeks. Now he can get himself going by just playing good defense. He only had 2 rebounds tonight, but just being more physical and aggressive out there, and that's why he's getting more minutes, and that's why I thought that it was fine to keep him in the starting lineup, because especially now he's had probably his 2 best games coming into this game. This is when you want to keep him going. You want to keep him in the lineup. You want to keep giving him opportunities, and to his credit, he took advantage of them and he played well, and now we're starting to see some of the breakthroughs that Cal has mentioned, and it's just coming a little bit slower than I think we all would have liked. But yeah, great game from Justin. There's still some hesitancy with Justin, it feels like, especially when he's got some sort of fast break opportunity or he's in the lane. Like, he gets himself caught. Cal even called him out in the post game for saying that he had Reed and Reeves wide open in a corner at one point and decided to shoot a shot. Like, why do that when UK is literally the best 3-point shooting team in the country? But he's getting there. It's baby steps, as we're saying right now. So liked what we saw from Justin.
Yeah, baby steps for Kentucky. We got out of that horrible 3-game losing streak in Rupp Arena. It sounds crazy even saying that out loud. The fact that 4 was even on the table is outrageous, but they're moving on, going to Auburn. That's going to be a tough one. Kentucky is 17-7 overall. I mean, the SEC race, I guess we're still in the mix in theory if you get hot mathematically. Probably improbable to make a big run. But, Jack, if you go to Auburn and pull off that upset in what is going to be a rowdy environment, I looked at tickets. It is insane to get in that building. You're heading down there. Hope you have a blast and bring back a win. But for Kentucky's purposes, I don't know that anyone's expecting it, but can it happen?
And that's kind of been our point with all of this. There was a fork in the road with this team where it could have gone really south. Like we talked about tournament possibilities and stuff, and it's like it's improbable and very highly unlikely that this team was ever going to miss a tournament. But the quality of opponents plus the losses that they'd already stacked up, it was there for the taking had they not taken these, again, baby steps forward. That's all we care to see. Just hit singles. We're not trying to just change this team overnight. The identity's not going to go anywhere. Just win these games, learn different ways to win, and just take these baby steps forward. And that's what I want to see at Auburn. Like, I don't see that as tonight was a must win, and they did exactly what they came here to do. They won and did so in convincing fashion. That's the goal at Auburn. It would be great to steal one, and that would put you back in at least somewhat of there were some other results that happened tonight that played in Kentucky's favor as well. Yeah, Cal went on a rant for like 12 minutes talking about Brad Calipari and his impact and the game-winning bucket and all that. So that impacted the standings. It's highly improbable that it's going to happen, but you just got to inch toward March, where we got a full month left. I think exactly a month until Selection Sunday from right now. So. Baby steps. That's all we got to care about. All we got to care about down at Auburn.
What was that comment about him not knowing who we played or whatever was that tonight?
He said that he woke up this morning thinking it was a road game. Calipari did, which, as they've done all season, they leave 4 road games the night before. So he must have had a wild Monday night last night.
I can't blame him. These 9 p.m.s, about halftime, I looked at you yawning like, well, I don't know if I can do this. So whatever, Cal. I thought we were on the road too.
It's 12:24 right now. It's a late one, but.
Thank you for reminding that again. Did you all do your Valentine's Day, everybody? I got to get a card on the way home.
I did, actually.
We're good.
Hope she doesn't watch this. I've had the card for 2 weeks. We're going to sign off now. Do a little writing, maybe sleep here. Who knows? But we're finally smiling again. Cats are back in the win column. Turns out Rupp Arena is not broken. Everything's going to be all right, especially when they beat Auburn in a few days. But for right now, for Drew, Zach, Jack, we got Steven, we got Phoenix back. We got an audience back here. We got people taking Rupp Arena down because the Cats aren't back here for 10 more days. But in 10 days, hopefully they'll be back and still in the SEC standings. For now, we'll sign off and say go Cats. And as always, thank you for watching. We love you.
Love that sweatshirt, Jack.
You too, buddy.
They didn't tell me.